Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Matters. Today we are going to discuss the concept of open innovation in healthcare and how much positive change it can bring to the people's lives. We are delighted today and honored to have a very special guest, Mrs. Milena Stoycheva, the Minister of Growth and Innovation for Bulgaria and the longtime CEO of Junior Achievement Bulgaria. As a leader, she is very passionate about establishing Bulgaria as a hub for growth and innovation. She is also passionate about empowering and supporting young talents and startups. And finally, she is a catalyst for the digitalization of the healthcare system. Warm welcome, Milena. Thank you so much for being with us today. And let me start by asking you, how are you today?
Thank you so much, Hisham. It is really such a pleasure and honor to be here at your place. I feel very much at home. I feel inspired because we're talking about something that I care a lot, which also can bring more hope, more opportunities, and better, I think, outcomes for people. So these topics, as well as what we can do together, are something that is worth talking about.
Thank you, Milena. And maybe let me start by asking you about the healthcare sector. And how do you see the role of innovation in healthcare and what value innovation can bring to the healthcare sector?
Okay, so let's start first with the topic about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation actually is a way of thinking and a behavior. To me, innovation is really the catalyst for change. It is very much related as it triggers people to use new models, new solutions, new ways of doing things as a way to support change and transformation, but also as a form through which we can respond adequately to the changing environment around us. And innovation in healthcare is particularly important because it can be there really not just improving opportunities or improving efficiency. It can be a game changer. As in healthcare, we're talking about lives. We're talking about people. We're talking about how to expand, broaden up both opportunities, access for new ways of treatments, but also in some of these cases, through innovation, we can bring more hope for future, for people to survive. So innovation is not just a buzzword. In healthcare, it could be a game changer.
Indeed, indeed, and it's really mindset and behavior, as you said, to drive this positive change and transformation. And I'm curious also to know your thoughts about the concept of open innovation. Would you tell us more about that?
Yes, it's actually one of my favorite concepts. I have to admit that when I was a student in a program at UC Berkeley, I had the great honor to have a class with both Steve Blank and also Henry Chesbrough. Professor Henry Chesbrough is the father of the concept of open innovation. And open innovation is a new model through which we can expand the funnel of how we involve new players, collaborations, new forms of providing solutions to global challenges. What used to be the approach before, some 30 years ago, and it sounds like a long time, but with the dynamics of technological progress, actually this is changing very fast and the speed is much higher. What used to be the approach was that a lot of companies with potential in terms of financial capability and capacity were developing R&D solutions in-house. And with the globalization, with the opening up of financial markets, So access to capital, to VC capital, and with the appearance of the smaller players, the so-called, the new game changers, the startups. Yes, with all of that, we see a new model. And so what Henry Chesebrough described at the time is an approach where we are not keeping the research and development within the limits and the spaces of one company or one corporation or one research institution, but we are rather applying the other dynamic, the so-called dynamic of the pull of the market. And we're opening the fan to involve other players, so tech transfer and research that is out there in the ecosystem can start be infused and be transferred inside the bigger organizations and corporations. So the model of open innovation involves a new way, a new approach on how we create the next generation of solutions and of products and services, and how we work in collaborative manner with all stakeholders. It's very important to think of open collaboration both in a way that would open and break the barriers for new developments, technological developments, as well as break the silos and barriers internally between the structures of the company, of the organization, and also within the framework of society, of the economy. There are very good examples of all of that. I think especially with the advancement of the latest technology, we see, for example, a lot of companies that became the symbols of the digital expansion and digital opportunities, who were developing the new solutions with the collaboration either of other players that are not part of their particular sector. So instead of looking at everybody else as competitor, they're starting to looking at them as collaborators. And healthcare could be one of the best places or scenes for this open collaboration to flourish. Why? If we take, for example, digital transformation, and you know that this is one other area that I really very much care about. If you think that the medical space and the healthcare space used to be the space or the prerogative only of companies and organizations who are working as medical specialists. But with the advancement of technology, open innovation concept is allowing for two things. One is, in order to advance now, for a company or for an organization, for a hospital, for a clinic, or for, let's say, a pharmacy, it can no longer do this on its own. It needs to start working actively with technology companies in order to bring all of the solutions that are in the digital space into the way of working and living and doing business in that sector. So in a similar way, in a hospital, we need to involve and adopt all of the processes that were valid for a software company to embrace them now in the way we run the hospital, in the way we monitor the progress of certain, let's say, treatment, and the way we relate with patients in order to get more accurate data about their conditions, as well as to use this data that is being generated by all of the different devices that are being used in support of the treatment to help us make more informed decisions about their conditions and what should be the next step. I'm just giving this example that we are talking about, it's not by chance that when we're talking about digitalization, we're talking about digital transformation, because it's not just the use of that technology, but how this technology and this interplay, this connection and a way of interaction with the technology is creating a new state, which is a transformation, a new state of the way things are.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Milena. And you mentioned the startups. And I know you are very passionate, as I mentioned, in terms of really supporting startups, empowering young leaders. So my question to you is about the importance of mindset. And from your perspective, is it something innate, or this is something we can cultivate even more?
Yes, so startups are another new player into this open innovation ecosystem, if we can call it that way. And startups, what defines them as startups is actually their way, agile way, to be able to very quickly respond to a change in conditions in the environment, and also their very clear focus on a particular part of the challenge space, so that they bring and address that challenge quickly, but also in a very lean way. This is why when you talk about startups, we use some of this terminology: agile, lean, fast, speed, and all of that. So I think that startups are very much, of course, related to the entrepreneurial way of thinking. And what this means? It means that if one is entrepreneurial, one combines a few traits, features. One is able to notice, to quickly see opportunities where other people who are not alert, who are not trained, wouldn't see them. But also one is able to think in a more complex manner, to try to combine even sometimes unexpected solutions and ways of doing things in order to address that with a very clear focus on the problem. And the other thing is, one is able to be very flexible in the way of reacting and way of thinking. So I think entrepreneurial way of thinking is not by chance considered to be the most relevant way and behavior mindset that needs to be applied nowadays. We're living in this world which is called the VUCA world, the volatile, the uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Ambiguous means also that there is no way we can predict what would be the best outcome. Even now, as you see with the current global environment, we are being faced with a combination of challenges that come from different spheres of life. Some are related to politics, others are related to the natural phenomena, to accidents or to certain floods, earthquakes, and all of those. Third, are related to, unfortunately, human behavior that is causing conflicts everywhere. And in addition to that, when you add natural disasters, but you could add epidemics, just like we had until 2 years ago, a very big one, and outbreaks of unexpected phenomenon that could have an impact on the way we live, the way we work, on the economies, on our future. So we need to be able to put on these different lenses or contact lenses or glasses in order to see the world through them, through this lens, relevantly and adequately. This is what I would call entrepreneurial way of thinking. Being able to adjust your behavior, your thinking in order to address complex global challenges quicker, more adequately as a response, more flexibly, and also with a sense of strong responsibility that whatever you propose then, you are bound to, I mean, you are in charge of. And this is what entrepreneurs do. This is why when we talk about entrepreneurial behavior and way of thinking, it goes beyond the way of what I think is perceived nowadays that being a startup only. It is a way to be able to be equally as a startup business, to be responsible, to be a player in collaboration with others, because the small players are usually looking to also work with others, realizing that they cannot do it on their own, and also to be very quick in providing solutions. So we are very much solution orientated with this thinking. I'm curious now to ask you, if I may.
Yes, please.
For you, you are one of those leaders of big established companies with a great track record who have been very open to collaborating with startups. Is there a future for that? Where do you see the healthcare going in this direction? Is it more real? Is it a fashion? How do you perceive it?
Thank you, Milena, for the question. And indeed, as you said, our belief and our position as Roche, that 99% of the innovation and 99% of the solutions are out there in the external world, either with startups, those leaders with entrepreneurial thinking. And we believe that collaboration and partnership with those partners are really very crucial to provide really solutions for the complex challenges of our patients and for our healthcare system as well. What usually we do that we are very open for that, and we believe that some of the current trends, like the role of technology, for example, as you mentioned, the digital transformation we see in healthcare, the way for personalized healthcare, for example, that needs a lot of collaboration. In general, we believe that this is indeed needed, and we always encourage them to be very clear on their objective or outcome when they reach out to us. So please let us know, how can we support you? Is it more about mentorship? Do you have like MVP, minimal viable product, that you can test with us? Or you have a ready thing or project or product, then we can really partner on. And the second recommendation we always share with them, and you talked about that, is how to accelerate their learning curve. Learning is critical in this area. They need really to listen. They need really to listen to the challenges of the patients, of the healthcare system, to the other experts and the other player, other collaborator. How much they are able to accelerate their learning, it will really, deliver a great outcome for the patients and for the healthcare system.
Yes, on the one hand, it would accelerate the advancement of that technology to be applied, but also it will bring scale. Where in some cases it's critical, because the healthcare systems need that impact on scale in order to make a difference for more people. I was thinking from what you said, that there is a way to collaborate in terms of mentorship. I think what is very needed is that we start also with education. And we start in what I've seen also, that you were working together with some of the medical universities. I think it's incredibly important to influence. You asked me earlier about the mindset. Mindset is being built, is developed from very early age. It's just like with our traits, with the way we develop as individuals. So it's very important, if we want to make a difference through entrepreneurial startup mindset and this open innovation collaboration between different stakeholders, that we start from as early as school, and then during education, especially for medical specialists and experts, and also for other universities, that we introduce this collaboration on part between the industry or the business and the universities, that during their education they're already working together. And I think there is a great place for experts and for people from industry to be instructors at the universities. In fact, it's critical for the way education stays relevant. And second is to grow, to develop opportunities where such mentors can be part of the learning process and of the development of these startups. early, already from universities or spin-offs from the research organizations and centers. And to me, the only way we can progress is we base the future of growth on partnerships. There is no longer a space where we on our own can continue to develop no matter new technology or new product in healthcare or new way of distributing health services and reaching patients, or new way of designing collaboration if we don't integrate people from these different backgrounds and sectors and if we don't partner. Big companies, small companies, let's say corporations, startups, but also public-private partnership and institutions that are in the public sector and also private organizations.
Very true and very valuable. Indeed, collaboration is needed so those innovations can reach patients and become a reality. I actually still have like a couple of questions for you.
Yes, so please go ahead.
One of them you mentioned already, digital transformation in healthcare. And I would like you to dig deeper and tell us more about your perspective on the opportunities, on the challenges, how we can make that a reality.
Unfortunately, this is a topic that on the one hand has seen a lot of exploitation in terms of the word and the use. On the other hand, it's actually never been addressed deeply. And I think exactly because it is transformation, it needs an innovative approach to it. So what I mean by this is, to me, we need to work in the different sectors together and to see innovation as a horizontal approach. So when we talk about healthcare, here we have at interplay already an opportunity to involve the knowledge from the digital sector and the appearance of this sector in the economy and how quickly it grew and it created added value for all of us in a way that I've been saying we live in three-dimensional world, because we have the material world, we have the digital or the virtual world, which is part of us, of our everyday life now, and then we have our own internal spiritual world. So digital transformation in healthcare, as we said, could be also changing lives dramatically. What I mean, if digitalization is introduced in certain processes in how we run our healthcare system, it can create more efficiency and it can create also more opportunities for access. For example, using digital technology and machine learning or combination of virtual reality with augmented reality can create more opportunities for people who don't have access to the best specialist to have better access to some of the care and services. Or they could have a way, just like we have apps for other things, we could have in our phone or in our devices apps that can help us to track our health conditions so we can introduce more solutions for preventions and move from emergency to a real care and prevention of certain conditions. We can also find a way to address the so-called always reputation that in healthcare we're only needing more and more money and funding in order to respond adequately. So this challenge that we have in looking at healthcare as a big cost and expense rather than also a contributor to the economy can be reduced and can be really changed if we start applying more digital solutions that will optimize the use of resources, so it can bring to efficiency and effectiveness in the way we run operations, and also we are able to provide solutions to the patients, even with the very, I would say, this topic about how the healthcare and social insurance can be effective in supporting patients in the regulatory part of this sector. So digital transformation is critical to how we progress and how we develop in contemporary medicine and also in contemporary healthcare. Without that, we are really going to face more and more stratification in society, a bigger gap between what certain parts of society can allow and what the ones that are maybe not so well off can afford. And we need to work together as institutions, also as public-private partners, to address that and to push for this transformation to happen. I think without digital transformation, we cannot talk about contemporary medicine and contemporary healthcare.
Very true, very true. And now maybe I would like to know more from your perspective about positioning Bulgaria as a hub for growth and innovation. I know that you are very passionate and very keen in establishing Bulgaria not only on Eastern European level and not on a European level, but I've attended a number of events where you were promoting on a global level, really positioning Bulgaria as a hub for growth and innovation. So please tell us more about your vision. What would be the approach to make that a reality?
I think that there are three elements to what Bulgaria can bet on the future. And to me, they're related to human capital or talent, technology, and energizing a new vision, a new idea, a new way of doing things for the country. So presenting, rebranding Bulgaria as an innovation hotspot or innovation hub. And how we can do this? What we have been witnessing is Bulgaria has been, unfortunately, following up and being in the area, in the category of the so-called emerging innovators as ecosystems. It's because we were looking at some of our capacity as a way to address what has been happening around us and not utilizing the best assets that we have as economy. And what we have best here is we still have a very good educational system already in high school. Bulgaria is one of the world champions in mathematics in STEM education. And we've been developing this pool of talent around in the IT sector, in the STEM and engineering fields. And we have a great opportunity now to put this asset in the front. Because in the knowledge economy, your talent, your human capital is the leading element that you could have. And choosing to bet on it, choosing to invest in that is, to me, the best way, the smart way to advance economy and to advance development and growth. So this is part of the mission that we designed. We created the vision that Bulgaria can rebrand itself as a place of talent, technology, and innovation. And in such, to start working together with other countries who are choosing a similar approach. So this is why it came as also the concept to build Southeast Europe as an innovation hub. It also very much matches the idea that with the global challenges happening and with the change and dynamics worldwide also of markets, the way they are being reorientated again as a result of certain geopolitical trends and other that are happening. There is a need to develop capacity also more regionally and locally, rather than think that we have to be a very big distributed supply chain. So I think now with this new way of doing things and thinking more about nearshoring and building a regional supply chain, this could be a good opportunity for Bulgaria to move into the so-called deep tech innovation, which is the next tier of innovations that is coming after the digital innovation, and it involves a lot of the latest cutting-edge technologies in AI, in machine learning, in robotics, also in biotech and manufacturing. And Bulgaria already has a good positioning and track record, expertise in some of these fields. In digital, Bulgaria is seen as one of the leading top 3 among the IT specialists and expertise, being seen also as a great player on the VR and AI scene and technology. And I think we are also developing opportunities through space technology. So I am excited if we continue about following this vision, because we see that it is very relevant. And if we continue investing in the talent to be given opportunities to develop innovative solutions from Bulgaria and to work with others, we can build a very good regional supply chain of innovations that can open the doors also for the future and for making this place an innovation hub.
That will take me to my last question. So as a leader, what excites you currently as a project, as a movement, in terms of the use of innovation in healthcare? Is there something on top of your mind?
I am very passionate is how to build innovation ecosystems and how to find mechanisms to create some of these good examples and good practices to be scalable and to become a system. One thing we often experience from, let's say, great inspirations, that we have certain good examples and certain cases that achieved the big boom, but I would like to see that this becomes a different reality for more people in my country, that they see more opportunities rather than challenges and also hindrances around us, that we change the mindset to being more optimistic, and that we really work together to create some sustainable changes and make a difference also for the future generations. I know that sometimes it sounds a bit optimistic, too optimistic or maybe idealistic, but I do believe that we need as human beings to have an aspiration and to strive for that. So I'm excited about making a difference here through innovation and technology, through continuing to invest in startups, and through working together in an ecosystem way.
Thank you so much, Milena, for the insightful discussion. I'm an optimist myself, and I believe the world needs a lot of great leaders and a lot of optimistic leaders. And definitely the concept of healthcare innovation and the open innovation healthcare can bring a lot of positive change to the people's life and can solve many of our key health challenges. It needs a lot of partnership and collaboration. We need to use digital transformation as a critical enabler, and we need to build on our talents, our young talents and our startups who can do miracles for our healthcare system and for our patients, because healthcare matters.